The will reading, the ultimate betrayal. The air inside Caldwell and Associates was suffocating, thick with the weight of wealth and arrogance. Decades of Carter family dominance were about to be cemented, or so everyone thought. I sat rigid in the conference room, my nails pressing into the armrest of my chair. Across from me, Olivia Carter Roberts, my perfect older sister, looked every bit the corporate powerhouse she had trained her entire life to be. Blonde, flawless, unshaken. She had dressed for victory, her signature black blazer pristine, her diamond bracelet catching the afternoon sunlight. That bracelet, like everything else, had been a gift from Dad, one of the many reminders of where I stood in this family. Now it was time for the final insult. Mr. Caldwell, our family's lawyer for decades, adjusted his glasses, clearing his throat as he prepared to deliver the death sentence to my inheritance. As per the wishes of the late Mr. William Carter, the following assets will be distributed accordingly. I gritted my teeth. I already knew what was coming. To Olivia Carter Roberts, full ownership and control of Carter Global Holdings, including all real estate assets, company stock shares, and luxury properties owned by the Carter estate. I felt the room shift around me, my ears ringing as Olivia exhaled softly, her lips curling into a smug smirk. To Evelyn Carter. Silence. The hesitation in Mr. Caldwell's voice sent a chill down my spine. A personal account containing family photographs and heirloom jewelry from her grandmother. A dull roar filled my ears, but I refused to react. Olivia let out a quiet chuckle, flipping her hair over her shoulder. Well, Evie, at least you got some memories, she said, her voice laced with cruel amusement. Not sure where you'll put them in that tiny house of yours. Her words landed like a blade, but I forced my face to remain stone cold. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction. I glanced at Uncle Richard, who shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He was a senior executive at Carter Global, one of Dad's oldest allies, but even he looked unsettled by this. And then there was Victor Walters, Olivia's trusted corporate advisor. Unlike Uncle Richard, Victor was completely unreadable. He sat beside Olivia, his expression neutral, but I caught it. The briefest flicker of something calculating in his gaze. Something wasn't right. Are we done here, Mr. Caldwell? I asked, keeping my voice as controlled as possible. The lawyer hesitated, then nodded. I rose from my chair. Olivia, of course, couldn't resist one last dig. If you need a job, Evie, I can always find a place for you at Carter Global. Something entry-level, of course. I turned back, offering her a slow, chilling smile. That's generous, Liv, but I'll be just fine. I walked out of the office without looking back. What Olivia didn't know. I already had everything I needed to destroy her. The secret envelope, a mother's final gift. The night air in Newport Beach carried the scent of salt and something else. Change. I sat cross-legged on my couch, the envelope in my lap. The one Mom had given me 2 years ago, just months before she passed away. Don't open this until after your father is gone. Promise me, Evelyn. I had promised. Now it was time to find out why. Slowly, I tore the seal and pulled out a thick stack of documents. My fingers trembled as I unfolded a handwritten letter in Mom's elegant script. My dearest Evelyn, if you are reading this, then your father is gone. And I am sure he has done exactly what I feared, left you with nothing. But he was blind to what truly mattered. While he was building Carter Global, I was building something far greater. 20 years ago, I started investing in renewable energy companies, conservation projects, and sustainable housing initiatives. Because of you. Because I saw the future in you, even when he dismissed your work as idealistic nonsense. Every penny, every investment is in your name now. Olivia cannot touch a cent of it. This is not just wealth, this is power. Now, my darling girl, go claim your future. The letter trembled in my hands. I slowly turned to the next set of documents. Stock portfolios, bank records, offshore investment accounts, ownership contracts. Mom had built an entire empire under Dad's nose, and it was worth more than Carter Global Holdings. My breath hitched. For years, I had been the forgotten daughter, the afterthought, the disappointment. But I wasn't forgotten. I was the rightful heir. I let out a slow breath, my pulse finally steadying. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Olivia. Olivia, dinner tonight? We should talk about your future. A slow, dangerous smile spread across my lips. Evie, you're right. We should talk. Come by tomorrow morning. I have something to show you. I placed the documents in my safe, locking them away. Then I leaned back into the couch, staring up at the ceiling. Tomorrow, everything would change. War had begun. The confrontation at Evie's house. The sharp knock on my door came exactly at 10 o'clock a.m. I didn't flinch. I had been waiting for this. Through the window, I saw Olivia Carter-Roberts stepping out of her sleek black Mercedes, her Louboutin heels clicking against the pavement. She looked exactly as she always had, untouchable, powerful, and dripping in quiet arrogance. She had no idea that today would be different. I took my time opening the door, keeping my face impassive as I met her cold blue eyes. "Evie," Olivia greeted, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. She swept her gaze around my house, barely concealing her disdain. "We really need to talk about getting you set up properly. This isn't the kind of place a Carter should be living in." I said nothing, motioning toward the dining table, where I had everything laid out. The moment Olivia saw the documents waiting for her, I watched her expression change. The smirk faltered. Her eyes darted over financial reports, stock ownership documents, real estate deeds, everything Mom had left me. The color drained from her face as she picked up the first page, scanning it frantically. What the hell is this?" she muttered. "Mom's legacy," I said simply, folding my arms. She looked up, her lips parting in disbelief. Her carefully constructed world was cracking. "No, this isn't real. Mom was just a housewife. She didn't know anything about business." I smiled coldly. "She played that role well, didn't she?" Olivia's hands shook slightly as she flipped through the documents, her breathing uneven. Then she looked up, and I saw it. The moment she realized what this meant. "You think this changes anything?" she snapped, recovering quickly. "Fine. So Mom left you some money. But Carter Global is still mine. And you? You're still nothing in this world." I didn't react, because I had expected this, because Olivia still didn't get it. This wasn't about money. This was about power. Victor Walters, the beginning of betrayal. From across the street, Victor Walters sat in his car, watching the confrontation unfold. He had been Olivia's right-hand man for years, overseeing Carter Global's most ruthless business strategies. But something about today felt different. The way Olivia stormed into Evie's house without her usual confidence. The way Evie had been calm, composed, like she was in control. Victor had seen enough corporate power plays to recognize what was happening. And for the first time, he felt something dangerous creeping into his mind. Doubt. He picked up his phone and made a decision that would change everything. "It's me. We need to talk. Tonight." For the first time in his career, Victor was making a power move against Olivia Carter-Roberts. The shift in strategy. After Olivia stormed out of my house, I sat at my desk, pulling up my mother's files once more. I knew Olivia wouldn't go down without a fight, but neither would I. Just as I reached for my phone, it buzzed. Unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. "Evelyn Carter?" a smooth, measured voice asked. "Who's asking?" "Victor Walters. We need to meet." I stilled. Victor, Olivia's closest ally. This wasn't just a meeting. This was the first crack in Olivia's empire. The meeting with Victor. A dangerous alliance. That night, I arrived at a private rooftop bar in downtown LA, a place Victor had carefully chosen for this secret meeting. He was already there, sitting at the corner booth, his expression unreadable as he swirled a glass of bourbon. "You came," he said smoothly, motioning for me to sit. I was curious, I admitted. "But let's not waste time, Victor. Why are you here?" He exhaled slowly, tapping a finger against the rim of his glass. "Because Olivia is losing control, and I don't back sinking ships." I raised an eyebrow, waiting. "I've worked for Olivia for years," Victor continued, leaning forward. I know how she operates. She's ruthless, but she's reckless. She's been making enemies on Carter Global's board. And now? He gestured toward me. You're the biggest threat she didn't see coming. I stayed silent. Victor studied me for a moment, then smirked. I can help you take her down. The first move against Olivia. By the next morning, Victor had given me everything I needed. A list of Carter Global's board members who were already turning against Olivia, internal documents showing illegal offshore accounts, evidence of Olivia's private spending funded by Carter Global. I had the leverage I needed. And Olivia? She had no idea what was coming. The final scene, Olivia's realization. Olivia sat in her penthouse office, her fingers gripping her phone as she read the morning's headlines. Carter Global's board begins internal review of leadership decisions. Shareholders raise concerns over corporate spending. Insiders report instability in Olivia Carter Roberts' leadership. Her grip tightened around the glass of whiskey in front of her. She had been so sure she had crushed Evelyn. But now? The cracks were forming, and Olivia Carter Roberts was finally starting to feel fear. The aftermath of Victor's betrayal. The air in my small Newport Beach home was thick with the scent of fresh coffee, but my mind was far from the calm morning. I sat at my desk, surrounded by stacks of documents, bank statements, offshore transactions, leaked internal emails from Carter Global, everything Victor Walters had given me, everything that could destroy Olivia. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "We need to talk. Urgent." I smirked. I knew who it was. Caleb Monroe, Olivia's ex-husband, and now, my newest weapon. Caleb Monroe, Olivia's ex-husband, enters the game. I met Caleb Monroe at an exclusive members-only lounge in Beverly Hills. He was already there when I arrived, sipping an old-fashioned, looking as calm as ever. Handsome, charismatic, ruthless. The only man Olivia had ever truly loved, and the only one who had ever left her first. "Evelyn," he greeted smoothly. "I figured this day would come." I slid into the seat across from him. "You want to burn her to the ground?" I asked, cutting straight to the point. Caleb's lips curved into a slow smirk. "More than anything." I leaned forward. "Then let's talk. The truth about Olivia and Caleb's marriage." We spent the next hour exchanging war stories about Olivia. Caleb had once adored her until he realized she was only ever capable of loving power. She had married him for his influence, hoping to merge his tech empire with Carter Global. When he refused to let her control him, she had him investigated for fraud, nearly destroying his company. But Caleb? Caleb wasn't the kind of man who forgave. And now he was more than happy to help me take her down. Evie makes her first public move. The next morning, I leaked the first wave of documents. Breaking news: Carter Global faces investigation over offshore accounts and financial misconduct. Stock plummets as investors question Olivia Carter Roberts' leadership. Within hours, Carter Global's stock value had dropped by 15%. And Olivia? She was furious. Olivia strikes back. Inside. Carter Global's glass-walled skyscraper, Olivia paced in her office, gripping a glass of scotch. She had underestimated Evelyn. She had thought this would be easy. Now? The wolves were circling. Her own board members were questioning her leadership, and the media was tearing her apart. But Olivia Carter Roberts never lost, not without a fight. She turned to her assistant. "Find out who leaked those documents. And get me Uncle Richard." Uncle Richard's loyalty is tested. Richard Carter had been part of Carter Global for 3 decades. He had always believed in protecting the Carter name. But watching Olivia, watching her tear the company apart, burn bridges with investors, ignore every warning, it made him question everything. So when Olivia called him into her office, demanding his loyalty, he hesitated, and Olivia saw it. "You're hesitating, Richard," she said, voice cold. "I don't like that." Richard sighed. "The board is nervous, Olivia. Investors are pulling out. We need to fix this before—" "Before what?" Olivia snapped. "Before my little sister destroys me?" Richard's jaw tightened. Maybe she isn't the one destroying Carter Global. Silence. A long, tense silence. Then Olivia smiled, slow and dangerous. "Careful, Richard," she murmured. "I'd hate for you to forget whose company this is. The leverage that could ruin Evie." That night, Olivia met with a private investigator. If Evie wanted to play dirty, Olivia would bury her. "Find me something, anything, I don't care how small it is. I want leverage." And Olivia always got what she wanted. The breaking point. A confrontation on live TV. The next morning, the entire city of Los Angeles was watching. A highly anticipated business summit was being broadcast live, featuring top CEOs, including Olivia Carter-Roberts. I had planned it perfectly. As Olivia took the stage, looking calm and composed, the moderator cleared his throat. "Ms. Carter-Roberts, given the recent reports of financial misconduct at Carter Global, would you care to address the allegations?" Olivia didn't flinch. "There are no allegations," she said smoothly. "These are baseless rumors spread by people who don't understand how the business world operates." "So you deny any involvement?" A slow, taunting smirk spread across my face from the audience. Olivia saw it, and for the first time she hesitated. The moderator continued. "Then how do you explain the newly leaked emails showing offshore accounts under your direct management?" The crowd murmured. The camera zoomed in on Olivia's face. For the first time in her life, she had no answer. "Olivia is losing everything. Carter Global Board calls emergency session. Investors withdraw millions from Carter Global. CEO Olivia Carter-Roberts under review for financial misconduct." The headlines were everywhere, and Olivia, she knew, she was losing. For the first time in her entire life, she was losing. Final scene. Olivia and Evie's showdown. That night, I arrived at my house to find Olivia waiting on my doorstep. For the first time, she didn't look like the unshakable Olivia Carter-Roberts. She looked like a woman barely holding herself together. "You think you've won?" she whispered. I crossed my arms. "Haven't I?" She laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "You don't know what you've done, Evie." "Oh, I think I do." I took a step forward, my voice steady. "I've done what you never could, Olivia. I've built something real." Her hands curled into fists. "This isn't over." "No," I agreed, my smile slow and sharp. "It's just the beginning." War had just turned into total destruction. The boardroom betrayal. The Carter Global headquarters stood tall against the Los Angeles skyline, a towering symbol of power, prestige, and corruption. Inside, in the sleek, glass-walled executive boardroom, Olivia Carter-Roberts sat at the head of the long mahogany table, her rightful place. Or so she thought. The tension in the room was thick, suffocating. Across from her sat Uncle Richard, Victor Walters, and 6 other senior board members, men and women who had once sworn loyalty to her. But today, Olivia was not in control. She had always known that power was a delicate thing. One wrong move, one moment of weakness, and the wolves would pounce. And today, they were circling. The boardroom doors closed with a soft click. "Shall we begin?" Uncle Richard said smoothly. Olivia forced a smile, but her grip on the edge of the table tightened. She was about to fight for everything. The vote that changed everything. Victor stood first, his usual composed expression unreadable. "We need to address the obvious," he began, sliding a stack of leaked financial documents onto the table. "These reports prove extensive offshore activity under Olivia's direction. Illegal fund diversions, misallocated corporate spending, and failure to disclose international transactions." The room was silent. Victor turned toward Olivia, his voice calm, lethal. "Do you deny any of this?" Olivia's nails dug into the wood of the table. "This is a coordinated attack," she snapped, "and I don't need to guess who's behind it." She turned her cold stare on Uncle Richard, then Victor, and then her biggest enemy, Evie. Evie sat at the far end of the table, looking relaxed, as if she had already won. Olivia's stomach twisted with rage. "This is my company," Olivia spat. "My name, my legacy." Uncle Richard sighed. "No, Olivia," he said. "It's the Carter name. And right now, you're ruining it." Then, in the most shocking moment of Olivia's life, Victor raised his hand, a motion for a vote. "I move for an immediate review of Olivia Carter-Roberts' leadership as CEO," he said, his tone final. One by one, hands went up. Victor, Richard, the CFO, 3 more executives. The numbers were stacked against her. "This is a goddamn coup," Olivia hissed. Victor smiled, a predator's smile. "No, Olivia. This is business." And just like that, Olivia was officially removed as CEO. The ultimate betrayal. The board meeting ended in chaos. Olivia's heart pounded as she stormed into her corner office, slamming the door shut. Everything was falling apart. Her own people had turned against her. Victor Walters, the man she had trusted for years, had betrayed her. And worst of all, Evie had orchestrated all of it. "She's going to pay for this," Olivia whispered to herself. Then, her office door opened. She turned, expecting her assistant. Instead, she saw Caleb Monroe. Her ex-husband, Caleb, delivers the final blow. Olivia stiffened. "What the hell are you doing here?" she demanded. Caleb leaned against the doorway, looking at her the way one looks at something already broken. "I wanted to see it for myself," he murmured. "The moment you realized you lost." Olivia scoffed. "Don't flatter yourself, Caleb. I'm not done." Caleb smirked. "You think you still have a way out of this?" he asked. Olivia clenched her fists. Of course she did. She always did. But then, Caleb reached into his pocket, and he pulled out a flash drive. He tossed it onto her desk. "That," he said, "is the last piece of the puzzle. Emails, voice recordings, and contract manipulations proving that you falsified revenue reports to keep investors happy. It goes public tomorrow morning." Olivia felt her blood run cold. "You bastard!" Caleb just laughed. "Oh, Liv," he said, "you should have never tried to destroy me. You taught me everything I needed to know about war." Olivia's breath hitched, and for the first time, she knew this was the end. Carter Global is dismantled. By the next morning, it was front-page news. Olivia Carter-Roberts officially removed as CEO of Carter Global. New leaked documents confirm financial fraud. SEC opens investigation. Shareholders vote to dismantle Carter Global Holdings. The board moved fast. By the end of the week, Carter Global was no more. The company was sold off, piece by piece, its assets distributed among competitors and private investors. The empire that Olivia had spent her entire life controlling, gone. And Evelyn Carter? She had won. The final confrontation. A week later, as Evie sat at her newly acquired headquarters, she received a visitor, Olivia. But this wasn't the Olivia she had grown up fearing. This was a woman stripped of everything. No designer power suit, no penthouse office, no Carter Global, just Olivia Carter-Roberts. Alone. "You did it," Olivia said bitterly. Evie tilted her head. "No, Olivia, you did it to yourself." Olivia swallowed, staring at the papers on Evie's desk, documents finalizing her ownership of their mother's investments. "Was it worth it?" Olivia whispered. Evie smiled. "You tell me." Silence. A long, heavy silence. Then, Olivia turned and walked away. She didn't look back. For the first time, she had nothing to look back at. 1 year later, a different world. The world had changed. Olivia Carter-Roberts was no longer a name whispered in boardrooms. Carter Global was dismantled, liquidated, and sold off in pieces. A ghost of what it once was. And me? I had stepped into a new kind of power. Not the kind my father had valued, ruthless corporate empires built on greed and exploitation, but one that actually meant something. My mother's investments in sustainable technology, clean energy, and environmental restoration had blossomed under my leadership. I had become something Olivia never expected, a force of my own. The grand unveiling. I stood at the podium, staring out over the crowd of reporters, business leaders, and investors. Behind me, a massive ocean cleanup initiative was being launched, one of several global projects funded by my mother's hidden fortune. Cameras flashed. The world was watching. I took a deep breath and spoke. Today isn't just about business. It's about proving that power and responsibility don't have to be opposites. That success isn't just measured by profits, but by the legacy we leave behind. The applause was thunderous, and then through the crowd, I saw her, sitting in the back row, quieter than I had ever seen her. Olivia. She was no longer the unshakable Olivia Carter Roberts, CEO of Carter Global. She was just Olivia, and for the first time, she actually looked human. The final conversation. Later that afternoon, as the event wrapped up, I felt a presence behind me. I turned. There she was. "Nice speech," Olivia said. Her voice was softer now, stripped of the sharp edges it used to carry. Mom would have been proud. I studied her carefully. No power suit, no smug confidence, just Olivia trying to find her place in a world that no longer belonged to her. "How are you?" I asked, surprising myself. She hesitated. Then, a small, raw smile. "Surviving," she admitted. "Turns out, I don't know who I am without Carter Global." I nodded. Maybe that's not a bad thing. A beat of silence passed, and then Olivia did something I never thought I'd see. She looked away, almost ashamed. "I spent so many years trying to be exactly what Dad wanted me to be," she murmured. I never stopped to think about what I actually wanted. Her words hit me harder than I expected, because for the first time, I realized Olivia had been just as much a prisoner of Dad's legacy as I had been. The only difference, I had found a way out. And a last chance at redemption. That evening, Sarah Harrison, my mother's lawyer, arrived at my office with an envelope. "We found this in your mother's files," she said, sliding it toward me. "She left instructions for it to be delivered to you today." I unfolded the letter. My breath hitched at the familiar handwriting. "My dearest Evelyn, if you're reading this, a year has passed since you learned about your inheritance. I hope you've used it wisely, and from what I arranged to have monitored, I believe you have. But there's one last thing I need you to understand. Your sister, despite everything, is still your sister. Olivia was just as much a victim of your father's rigid worldview as you were. She simply coped differently. Now that his influence is gone, she might surprise you. I've left instructions for a separate fund, one dedicated to environmental education initiatives. If Olivia has shown any sign of change, I want you to offer her the chance to manage it. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't in defeating our enemies, but in helping them become better people. All my love, Mom." I sat back in my chair, letting the words sink in. Even now, Mom was teaching me, not about strategy, not about business, but about grace and wisdom. The offer. Olivia never expected. That night, I invited Olivia over for dinner. We sat on my back porch, the crisp autumn air wrapping around us. I handed her the letter. She read it silently, her fingers tightening around the paper. "She really believed in you," I said, watching her carefully, "even after everything." Olivia swallowed hard. "Why would you trust me with this?" she asked. "After everything I did?" I took a deep breath. "Because sometimes people deserve a chance to rewrite their story." Her eyes glistened. For just a second. Then she exhaled. "I was awful to you," she admitted. "For years. I tore you down because it made me feel more secure about my own place in Dad's world." I nodded. "I know." She stared down at the letter, running her fingers over our mother's handwriting. Then, in a quiet voice, she asked, "And what if I say yes?" I smiled. "Then we build something better. Together. A different kind of victory." Over the next few months, Olivia threw herself into the work. She attacked the challenge of building education programs with the same intensity she had once used for corporate takeovers. At first, it was strange, working together instead of against each other. But slowly, things changed. She changed. Mom had been right. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about winning or losing. It's about changing the game entirely. The final scene, a new legacy. 1 year later, on what would have been Mom's birthday, Olivia and I stood in her garden, the one I had maintained all these years. She touched a rosebush gently, lost in thought. "Mom used to try to get me interested in gardening when we were kids," Olivia murmured. "She'd talk about ecosystems and balance in nature. I never listened. You were too busy memorizing Dad's business lessons, I said. She laughed softly, but there was no bitterness in it anymore. For the first time, we weren't rivals, we were just sisters. The Carter name. Rewritten. That night, as I sat in my office, I glanced at the 2 framed photos on my wall. One of Mom, kneeling in the dirt, teaching me about nature, and a new one, Olivia, leading a group of children through a marine conservation program, her face alight with something real. A year ago, Olivia and I had been at war. Today, we were building a future together. Not Dad's future, not Carter Global's future, ours. My phone buzzed. Olivia, the kids asked about adding a hands-on marine biology program, thought you'd want to help design it. I smiled, thinking about Mom's final letter. Me. Count me in. Because this wasn't just a new chapter. It was a new legacy, one we were writing together.